It was all going so well. We had a lot of new names popping up on Friday, some good matches, strong developments, a new Mania match being announced. Bayley will challenge IYO SKY for the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania 40. A lot to get excited about on SmackDown on Friday. I was digging the show. I did not watch the show live. I stayed away from spoilers until I watched the show around 10, 11 o'clock last night, Eastern Time. I did see the report from, or not even the report, but the rumor from earlier in the day on Twitter. Not that Rock would appear on the show, but that he was spotted in the area at a gym. He might appear on SmackDown last night in Birmingham, Alabama. He might be there. And even if he was there, I stupidly thought he would be there to challenge Roman Reigns. Announced that he was challenging Roman Reigns, who was on the show last night for a rare appearance, Roman Reigns that is, to challenge Roman for a match to the championship, a championship match at Elimination Chamber in a couple of weeks in Australia. I've been saying this for weeks, since Rock first resurfaced on the first Raw, the first day of 2024, that we could and would get. I mean, I wasn't also confident about it a week ago, but I was still saying up until a few weeks ago that we could, would, and should get Rock and Reigns at Elimination Chamber. We are getting the match, but all signs do not point to it happening at Elimination Chamber. We are indeed getting it at WrestleMania. Fuck me, I guess, for thinking that Rock would show up and announce a match for Elimination Chamber, let Cody get his moment at Mania. The guy just won the fucking Royal Rumble match for no real reason in retrospect. I don't know why plans would have changed from literally a week ago, because it was pretty fucking clear when Cody Rhodes won the Royal Rumble match a literal week ago that he was challenging Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Now, Rollins popped up on Raw, tried to convince Cody of challenging him at WrestleMania, blah, 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 and it was a good segment. Cody literally pointed to Roman Reigns after winning the Royal Rumble, and that doesn't happen all too often. A lot of Royal Rumble winners will kind of weigh their options and maybe choose this guy and then be convinced to choose this guy instead. He literally pointed to Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, saying, you at WrestleMania, you. He made that pretty clear during even the post-Royal Rumble press conference. So plans, to me, must have changed. Unless they didn't clue Cody in as to which champion they would have him challenge at WrestleMania. Why the fuck would they have him go out there and do that at the press conference, at the pay-per-view, even on Raw, making it pretty clear that he wants Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, even making that pretty clear in this fucking segment on SmackDown? Something must have changed, and that something may have been CM Punk getting hurt. Because if we do end up getting Rollins and Cody at WrestleMania, I saw the report, we might get that at WrestleMania, and we might end up getting Cody and Roman at SummerSlam in a championship. What the fuck? We don't need another championship unification match. We just got a second world title a less than a literal year ago in May of 2023. Why would we need another unified championship? That was how we got in this position in the first place, with Roman Reigns barely showing up. It's bad enough having two champions, and one of those champions never shows up. And yeah, I guess you would solve that issue by having Cody hold one title, and then you have him show up more and be the full-time fighting champion that he always wanted to be, that he always promised that he would be if he ever won that championship, if and when he won that title. I mean, I guess, but guess what? You could have rectified that issue a fucking year ago if you had Cody Rhodes win the Undisputed Championship, and even then I wanted 2 world titles. Even then, even after Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns, when and should have beaten Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39, I still wanted a second world title. I said that at the time. But it would have been more bearable to have one world championship across 2 brands, with Cody Rhodes as the champion who works all the shows and appears on both brands and will make the towns and stuff like that, as opposed to a guy that never shows up. You can pull that shit, kind of, with 2 world titles. It's been going on for long enough with Roman Reigns. It comes back to one simple sentence. And I've been annoying as fuck about it over the last year, as many other people have been, and people will tell me to stop or stop complaining. And this will be a lot of complaining, I promise you. And I do complain here on the show. I mean, it's a lot of criticism. I want to see them do the right thing, or what I think is the right thing. But it comes back to one very simple sentence. Cody Rhodes should have won the undisputed WWE Universal Championship from Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. You cannot convince me otherwise. You cannot convince me that the decision at that time, months later, a fucking year later, in light of what happened last night, was a good booking decision. It is still one of the dumbest things that company has ever done. Then, now, and forever. I'll get more into this a little bit later on at the end of the review. This was the final segment on the show. They saved the worst for last, because I thought this was a very good show overall. Everything else, unfortunately, kind of pales in comparison to what we got at the end of the show last night. And again, like I said earlier, it's a shame because I thought this was a really good SmackDown. I did not watch SmackDown live last week. I watched it days later, actually, after the Royal Rumble. I was in Tampa for the pay-per-view, and I thought that was a great show as well. They've had a really strong string of SmackDowns in the past month, I would say, in 2024. Really, since the beginning of the year, they've had a lot of good shows. And last night, up until the end anyway, was no exception. Like I said, some good matches, Mania, Chamber developments, new names popping up, signing with SmackDown, teases of new names coming to SmackDown. They had a very good show, but they threw that all the fuck away with that final segment. That is all that people will be talking about today, tomorrow, next week, really through WrestleMania, when they very likely do Rock and Roman on that show. Could it be a swerve? Maybe. But like I said, we'll get more into it at the end of the review. So let's get through everything else first. Kevin Owens, I got to cool down for a second. Kevin Owens opening the show, or rather it was Logan Paul. Owens interrupting Logan Paul to start the show. Owens was not happy with the way that their United States Championship clash ended at the Royal Rumble. He had Logan Paul beat. He hit him with the brass knucks. He pinned him. The referee was smart enough to spot the brass knucks, call for the disqualification, Logan Paul winning by DQ, and costing Kevin Owens the United States Championship. Now, I still think, based on what we saw here at the Rumble, and even following Owens' match with Austin Theory on the show, he beat Theory with the brass knuckles. It was funny because Owens ended his confrontation with Logan Paul saying, brass knucks or not, I'm going to beat your ass. I can beat you without the brass knuckles. But then, literally, in the following match, 10 minutes later, he beats Austin Theory with brass knuckles. So, we kind of saw him do the same thing with the wrist guard or whatever he had on his cast about a month ago. He beat Escobar cheating as well. And Owens has cheated quite a bit lately, which makes me think we might be getting a heel Owens going into WrestleMania. If not, they're making him look very strange as far as being a tweener or turning heel with the cheating. He's been cheating a lot lately. And I know, yeah, like the heels cheat too. He's trying to even the playing field. But like it's been happening enough to where, to me, I'm pretty convinced that we're getting heel Owens on the sooner side. And honestly, that's a route that I would go anyway. I wanted to heel Owens for a feud with Cody coming out of WrestleMania. Again, fuck me for thinking Cody Rhodes would win the undisputed WWE Universal Championship and not the World Heavyweight title or the fucking United States Championship or something else. Because Owens was traded away from Raw by Cody Rhodes. Without his consent, he was broken away from Sami Zayn. Hasn't had a lot of luck on SmackDown so far. So it would stand to reason that he would be pissed at Cody, be one of his first challengers coming out of WrestleMania. That might be why we're getting heel Owens, and I'd be totally down for that. But anyway, so Owens confronting Logan Paul. It was announced that next week we're finding out who Logan Paul's next challenger will be. And I thought Logan Paul, by the way, on the show, between his promo running down the injury-prone people in the company right now, Owens complaining about another opportunity, his confrontation with Bianca Belair backstage later on, I thought Logan Paul was great on the show. He was really fucking funny. So, again, like I said, they announced that next week we'll find out who will next challenge Logan Paul for the United States Championship. I don't really know why they would make a big deal out of announcing who the challenger would be, if it very clearly should be Kevin Owens. And it's not as if they should go in a different direction with Logan Paul right now, have him face someone else. Maybe on SmackDown, like they can give someone a title shot on SmackDown. We haven't seen Logan Paul work a TV match so far since signing with WWE a few years ago. He's only worked pay-per-view matches. So it would be cool. I don't know if they want to do that, if they see him as a Brock Lesnar where he doesn't work TV. I don't know. But you know, it just doesn't make any sense for anyone else to get an opportunity before Owens gets his rematch and hopefully loses. And like I said, it wouldn't make as much sense if they gave someone else an opportunity first at, like, for example, Elimination Chamber, and then went back to Owens for WrestleMania. That Mania match, I've been saying for 6 months now, it should be Logan Paul and LA Knight for the United States Championship, and LA Knight beating Logan Paul for that title. I do not need to see Owens and Logan Paul stretch through WrestleMania. I don't think it will. What does that mean for Owens at WrestleMania? I don't know. But I do think Logan Paul and LA Knight is the match to do. We didn't see LA Knight on the show last night. AJ Styles wasn't on the show. Randy Orton wasn't on the show. They all lost. They all failed against Roman Reigns at the pay-per-view. It didn't really make a lot of sense to have them on this show. So I was okay with that. But that's the direction I want to see them going. Not Owens and Logan Paul again at WrestleMania. So hopefully they get the rematch. I'm honestly kind of surprised they're extending the feud beyond the Royal Rumble. But if they want to do another match at Chamber and Logan Paul's actually working that show, then I'm all for it. So I think that's cool. But the match was fine. Owens in Theory, we've seen it so many times in the past year plus. It's just hard to care at this point. They did have a good match. Owens winning again. What else is new? Cheated to win with the brass knuckles when the finish from Logan Paul backfired, so we'll see how that kind of plays out. And if we do end up getting heel Owens before long. We had a fatal 4-way tag team qualifier And I was thinking, like, qualifying for what? Like, what is this qualifying for? Because I don't know, unless I missed something. They didn't make it clear at the beginning of the match. And maybe they did and I missed it, I don't know. They made it clear after the fact that the winners of this match, this fatal 4-way tag team match, would advance to a match next week to determine the number one contenders to the undisputed WWE tag team titles at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view against the Judgment Day. So we're getting another 4-way match on Raw with 4 teams from Raw, probably DIY, Creed Brothers, who we haven't seen in probably 2 months, since December on WWE TV, and I'm not counting main event. Creed Brothers, DIY. I mean, there's a handful of teams. I don't know, Indus-Sher, we haven't seen them in months. Probably not them. I'm not really sure. What other teams do they have? Awesome Truth? I mean, maybe. Awesome Truth might go on to become number one contenders. I thought they might save that match for Mania, but they could very well become number one contenders, or rather advance on Monday and go on to become number one contenders by beating Butch and Tyler Bate, or Pete Dunne. That word is banned. Fuck Butch. Pete Dunne is here to stay. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate next week on SmackDown, who won this 4-way. Spoiler alert. I don't know. I don't know who's going to be involved in the 4-way. They didn't announce that. But Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne did win here, going over on Pretty Deadly, the LWO, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde, and Legado del Fantasma's Angel and Berto. Yeah, they're just calling him Berto now. Maybe that's his call. Honestly, I don't really care whose call it is. That's fucking stupid. Maybe they just call him Berto backstage anyway. I don't know. But he went from being Humberto Carrillo to just Humberto to now just Berto. Soon enough, it's going to be fucking just Bert. It's going to be Bernie and Ert. Or what are the two Muppets from Sesame Street? I was the biggest fan of Sesame Street for the longest time, so I honestly don't remember in retrospect. Ernie and Bert. Yeah, that's what it was. Ernie and Bert. That's what he's going to be before long. Bert, and Angel will be Ernie. I would not be surprised. I thought this was a fun match, though. I thought all 4 teams worked well together. Bate and Dunne were the right team to go over. I still have that fucking Butch name etched in my mind from them calling him that dumb name for 2 years. But Pretty Deadly just wrapped up their feud with Bate and Dunne, so it makes sense for Bate and Dunne to pin them to go over. LWO and Legado have their feud going. I didn't review SmackDown last week, like I said. I didn't even watch it until well after the Rumble, so obviously no review either. And it was before the Rumble. Just didn't have a chance to review it. But they did have Elektra Lopez debut last week, and they did a great vignette, actually, for the stable right before this match aired, with Santos, Elektra, Angel, and Berto, apparently, talking about their family lineage and how their goal is to take down the LWO and Rey Mysterio. Now, we have not seen Rey Mysterio in about 3 months. He had knee surgery or whatever right after he lost the United States Championship at Crown Jewel. Hopefully he is back soon so they can kick off Escobar and Mysterio for WrestleMania. That is the match to do. That's, to me, is the money match for Mania. Escobar, Mysterio, that's the match to do. But I liked the vignette. I thought the way they shot it was great. It kind of was something that you would see on NXT, but not nearly as corny as the Chase U bullshit. Like, nothing like that. I thought the cinematic aspect of it was great. It established their motivation, established the group. Elektra Lopez, not only just a new name to SmackDown viewers, but someone who was already in Legado in NXT for those unfamiliar. So I like that a lot. Good stuff here. We had Bayley choosing her champion of choice for WrestleMania 40 after winning the Royal Rumble last week. Now, right before this segment, we had Bayley backstage kind of walking in on Kairi Sane, IYO SKY, and Asuka laughing about, or snickering was the word I was thinking of. Kind of just laughing about Bayley and calling her, just saying that she'd be done on the show. I don't really know what that meant. I kind of had to rewind because I missed what they said, and I really couldn't I had to rewind it because in context, what sense does it make for them to say, oh, Bayley's done tonight? Were they planning on attacking her? Like, if she was going to choose Rhea Ripley, which was the original intent from Bayley and the group, and even Rhea, they all thought she was choosing Bayley. We knew she wasn't choosing Rhea, but they all kind of thought Bayley was choosing Rhea. So why would she be done tonight? Was she going to choose Rhea and then they would attack her? Like, that just didn't make sense. I thought the acting in the segment was not great. I love IYO and Asuka and Kairi, but they were way too over the top with the laughing when Bayley wasn't looking. And they haven't really been overly great towards Bayley in recent months as far as being overly warm towards her. Really, since Kairi and Asuka joined the group a few months ago, they've been acting kind of cold towards her, and it's been really well done. But on this show, for whatever reason, they went from 0 to 100 and teasing that they just do not like Bayley. And it was weird because, Bayley never once said I would choose IYO SKY. So it was very strange the way they kind of went about this. And teasing that, I don't know, that they were already going to turn on her, or Bayley had an inkling before she walked in on them, which was very Evolution-esque with Batista and Triple H back in the day, where Triple H and Ric Flair made fun of Batista And then Batista walked in on them without them knowing, and that's why he chose Triple H to face at WrestleMania, blah, blah, blah. It was very, very similar. I thought they would drag this out longer. I really liked the segment. Bayley came across great here. She already has the fan support. People really wanted her to win the Rumble. They were behind her here. So she pulled one over on IYO, and she called Rhea one of the best, and why wouldn't I challenge her before saying, well, it also might be personal with someone I thought was a friend. And then she started speaking Japanese, saying, oh, you thought I didn't speak Japanese, huh? For all the times you guys were basically talking shit about me for the last couple of weeks, months, whatever. So I thought that was great. Bayley apparently knows enough Japanese to know they were talking shit about her for months. I thought that was really, really smart. They attack her. She retaliates, pulls out a crowbar, I forgot what it was, like a lead pipe or something, and then attacks all three of them. Dakota Kai was not out there. Dakota Kai was on Raw this week with them, but not in this segment, which was odd. Probably by design, because Dakota's been there for every show for months, despite being hurt. So in storyline, they hopefully will explain where Dakota Kai was during the segment. Like, was the plan on Damage CTRL's end always to attack Bayley, and they want Bayley to think Dakota's on her side before Dakota turns on her? I'm not really sure. Maybe we get Bayley and Dakota Kai at Elimination Chamber if Dakota Kai's cleared by then. I don't know. I mean, that would be a good match to do, I think. I honestly thought for a very split second, and I'm an idiot, I know, like maybe the segment was setting up for someone coming out to save Bayley. And the only person that would make sense is Sasha Banks. I know I saw the report earlier in the day from Andrew Zarian and other people saying that Mercedes is not only locked in for AEW, but that the big announcement next week on Dynamite will be about Mercedes' pending debut. They're going to announce a big show for TD Garden in Boston, and that's probably where she'll debut in a month. So I figured she wasn't coming in here, but I thought for a second, well, why did they... I just thought it was weird that they rushed into this. And now, obviously, they didn't really rush anything. They've been teasing Damage CTRL split for like a fucking year now. But like as far as they were on the same page a month or a week ago even, Bayley's whole plan was to bring more gold to the group. I think maybe not from a storyline standpoint, from a booking standpoint, they rushed into it because they need to announce Rhea and Nia Jax for Chamber, and they can't really do that for as long as Bayley says that she's going after Rhea. So that's probably why. I mean, I guess you could have said Bayley was going after Rhea and still done Nia, and I don't really know. Maybe because they want to announce a women's chamber match, and you can't do that if Bayley already chose, like, say, she hasn't made her choice yet, for example. They kind of need to set this stuff in stone so they can set up the Elimination Chamber card, what chamber matches are determining which challengers, and what titles will be on the line, stuff like that. I don't really know. That's probably why they did that. Sasha was not out there, but Bayley did hold her own. Like I said, she retaliated with a lead pipe, attacked all members of Damage CTRL, and faced off with the IYO SKY to close out the segment. So the match has been made official. It's Bayley and IYO SKY for the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania 40. Now, the question is, will this match headline? I would not have Becky and Rhea or whatever Rhea's doing, and Rhea's a star. I know Rhea was robbed in the main event last year because of the tag team match, which I feel bad for Rhea, but rightfully so. That was the right match to do last year. Regardless of which match you think was better, that was the stronger story going into WrestleMania. Rhea and Charlotte had a great story, but the build at that point was kind of non-existent. No one really gave a fuck. So they made the right choice. Do they make it up to Rhea by having her headline this year? I don't think so. I feel like if you were going to have a women's match headline either night, night one specifically, Roman is headlining night two. We already know that. It would be, night one would obviously be occupied by Bayley and IYO, and not Rhea and Becky or Rhea and Liv or whatever the match is going to be, or a triple threat or something like that. That to me would make more sense. Just because Bayley won the Royal Rumble, why would another women's match go on last if it's not that one? And this match has a great story, and it's going to be a great match. So I still think whatever Rollins will do, which we'll get to in a little while with the Cody stuff, could go on last in night one, but it should not be Rhea. And for as much of an attraction as Becky and Rhea is, Becky did not win the Royal Rumble. She should not be getting the main event over the Women's Royal Rumble winner on night one. That's just stupid. Even if Becky and Rhea is a better match, that should not go on last. Even if this is if this was a bad story and no one gave a shit, then maybe. But it's a great story, and the match is going to be great too. So I would have this go on last over Becky and Rhea. Unless there's another Rollins match or whatever they plan to do with the World Heavyweight Championship or Cody or whatever. Again, in a second we'll address that. Then yeah, that makes sense as the night one main event. But Bayley and IYO have a pretty strong chance of headlining that show for how great the story is, Bayley winning the Rumble, how great the match is going to hopefully be, and stuff like that. We were supposed to get out of nowhere Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits against the Final Testament, Karrion Kross and AOP. Now, I don't really say out of nowhere as far as like it was a random match. They've been feuding for weeks, so the match did make sense. My thing is, I don't think they announced this earlier in the day. Maybe they did announce it earlier in the day. I missed it. I don't know. But it's not like they, for example, they hyped up a face-to-face confrontation in last week's show. They hyped up a confrontation, but they didn't hype up this match. That was weird to me. And now I guess we know why. The match never even happened. I thought they rang the bell, and the referee kind of just let the segment end. No, the match never even happened. They brawled. They beat the shit out of each other. Bobby and the Profits were backed up by B-Fab, who Lashley's been talking to in recent weeks for the past month or so. Top Dollar got canned a couple of months ago, so Hit Row is no more. I didn't really think they were going to have B-Fab with Ashanti the Adonis, who appeared in a segment with Nick Aldis like a month or so ago, and we haven't seen him since, so I'm not really sure what that was about. I think that was back in the first episode of January. We haven't been no follow-up on that since, by the way. But B-Fab, they were always planning and putting with Lashley. They've been teasing that for a while, so I like that. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, why not Bianca? Bianca's married to Montez Ford. They have their new show out right now. It would make a lot of sense, yes. But I don't think this is a feud that's even making it to WrestleMania. I honestly don't. I don't think these guys will be all in a match at Mania. I feel like they'll probably be involved, unfortunately for Bobby, in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and that would also fuck over Bianca Belair. Bianca, I love everyone in this feud right now. I like Karrion Kross. I like AOP. I like Bobby. I think Bobby was fucked out of a Mania match last year after Bray Wyatt got sick, and they had nothing else for Bobby, which was bullshit. And he ended up competing on the SmackDown before, winning that dumbass, pointless Battle Royal, whatever. But Bianca's a bigger star than all of them. Bianca should be at WrestleMania. Even if it's not competing for the championship, and it should not be, she should be in a match at Mania. Now we kind of know she has a couple different options. Naomi's there now. I don't think she would face Naomi one-on-one. I don't know if I'd put Naomi right back in a fucking tag team after she was in a tag team 2 years ago. That kind of feels a little lazy to me. But you could do Jade and Bianca as a tag team. Bianca and Jade one-on-one, I would hold off on. That to me would feel rushed. Jade hasn't made her choice yet as far as where she's going. I would do her and Tiffany. Tiffany arrived on the show. We'll get to her in a second. I think that was the next match, right? It was. Tiffany Stratton took on Michin. So we saw Tiffany Stratton backstage, Naomi, Jade Cargill, Braun Breaker. They officially signed Tiffany Stratton and Naomi, so they're both members of the SmackDown roster. I like that a lot. They made the SmackDown women's division infinitely more interesting in 1 week than it has been in months. And they had a nice little shake-up when IYO SKY became champion at SummerSlam, and she's had a great run, I think. But adding Tiffany Stratton and Naomi to the mix on the babyface and heel side respectively, and also making Bayley a babyface and breaking her away from Damage CTRL, makes that division much more interesting. And that's not even including Jade Cargill, who also may up in due time, may end up on SmackDown. I would not do that right now just because Bianca and Jade should be kept apart. If you want to have them team, then cool. One-on-one might be a bit too soon. I feel like Tiffany Stratton, she's not as big of a name as Jade, but I feel like Tiffany is ready. She could be ready for a Mania match. She proved that in this match. She beat Michin. They had a nice little match. Tiffany's improved immensely in the past year. From winning the NXT Women's Championship to the string of matches she had with Becky Lynch and No Mercy, then on NXT TV. They had some great fucking matches, and she really hasn't been doing a whole lot since then. But it was clear she was main roster bound. I'm glad she is. She had nothing left to do in NXT, and now she's on SmackDown. Great pickup for the Blue brand, and honestly, I would make her and Bianca the Mania match. I said, maybe you could do Bianca and Jade. That was before I thought Tiffany was coming up. I heard the rumors and saw the report from a couple days ago. Oh, Tiffany, they were so impressed by her in the Rumble that she could be headed to the main roster fairly soon. Even with that being said, I thought, okay, they'll wait until after Elimination Chamber, probably until after WrestleMania. She can continue doing her thing with like Fallon Henley and NXT, blah, blah, blah. No, they just full on put her on SmackDown. They did not waste time. And honestly, no complaints. Especially if it means, and this is my worry too, one last thing before we get to the main event segment, which I have a lot to say about, obviously. My one worry in bringing in so many new people right now, instead of waiting until after WrestleMania, which is typically when they reset the deck and do the draft and shit like that. My one worry with them doing it right now is that none of these people, in being brought back to the company or called up or whatever, will be in Mania matches. So it's like if they're not going to be at Mania, then what's the point of calling them up now? Tiffany could end up in a Mania match with Bianca Belair one-on-one. And to me, honestly, that's a big match, but it's not like the biggest match you can do with Bianca, and it's not even the biggest match you could do with Tiffany. To me, Tiffany's ultimate match should be with Charlotte Flair at some point. And Bianca's biggest match probably would be with Jade Cargill down the road. So they can face each other. It still feels like a WrestleMania-worthy match. And it's not like a match that you need to build to over the course of 6 months. You can start now, head on into it with WrestleMania. Maybe they're involved in a women's elimination chamber match to determine a number one contender to the Raw Women's Championship, the World Women's Championship, whatever. And they both, get into it. Tiffany eliminates Bianca, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of different things you can do. But that's the match that I would do. But again, the worry is getting all these people on the Mania card. Tiffany might be fine. If Tiffany's facing Bianca, then what do you do with Jade? Jade might be able to face Nia Jax. I'm not convinced they're doing anything with Liv at Mania. I really want Liv to be involved in the Women's World Championship match because it makes sense. Rhea took her out. She's popular. I would love to see, honestly, what I would do, especially if it's not main eventing, it really doesn't make a difference. You can do, this is kind of like the Mania 24 route. Rhea, Becky, and Liv in a triple threat. Becky and Liv, I know this is not SmackDown related, so I'll make it quick. As I mentioned this on Wrestle Rant Radio on Thursday, you can have it be the Mania 24 match with Orton, Triple H, and Cena. Liv Morgan is John Cena in this case, where she comes back, even right down to the fact that she was number 30 in the Royal Rumble. She was injured by this person, which is Rhea, and in the Cena circumstance, it was Orton back in late 2007. Cena comes back. He won the Rumble. Liv did not. But Liv wants her revenge on Rhea Ripley. She faces her at Mania. Whereas with Becky Lynch, she's also been teasing a match with Rhea for months. They faced off a few times. She's been working her way towards a title shot. She's racked up a lot of wins, a la Triple H back in late 2007, early 2008. He also had a beef, kind of had a score to settle with Randy Orton at that point. And Becky does too, with Rhea Ripley. I almost said Nia Jax. Nia Jax as well. And you could do Rhea and Liv and then Nia. I don't think we're getting like 5 or 6 women's matches. I don't. I think we're probably going to have maybe 4 max. And that's a healthy amount. It should be more. I don't think they would do that. They only have so many spots, whatever. I would love to see like Becky and Nia rekindle their feud, which I feel like they probably will anyway. Could you do that at Mania and then Rhea and Liv? Yeah, that's possible. I think honestly the better match to do, if you want Jade at Mania, is to do Becky, Liv, and Rhea in a triple threat for that championship, because we're not getting a triple threat at Mania with like Damage CTRL, hopefully. I don't think Dakota Kai will be involved. That would be fucking... And I like Dakota Kai a lot, but like, she hasn't even really been around, and Bayley and IYO is a better match on its own. They don't need Dakota Kai in there. Dakota Kai can align with Bayley or IYO, it doesn't really matter. I would do a triple threat with the Women's World Championship with Liv, Rhea, and Becky. And that would free up Nia Jax, and getting Nia Jax in the Mania card isn't really a priority of mine, but, as people have said, and they're correct, she is doing the best work of her career right now. She's a Raw regular. She's on a lot. She's being protected. She hasn't been beaten yet one-on-one since being back in the company. They had her beat all these other people, Shayna and Zoe and Raquel a few times. She even beat Becky back in the first Raw of 2024. So you can have her go to Mania and lose to Jade Cargill. So that's what I would do. I would do Tiffany, Bianca, Bayley, IYO, Jade, Nia, and then Becky, Rhea, and Liv. I feel like it gets everyone on the card, and not all the women are going to be on the card, obviously. I don't really know what you do with the Kabuki Warriors, and if we don't get a women's tag team title defense in Mania, I won't cry. No disrespect to them, but like, that's not really a priority compared to the other stuff I just mentioned, personally. But that's what I would do. So, anyway, long story short, I thought Tiffany had an impressive showing here. She looked good against Michin, picked up the win. Missed the moonsault a little bit, but hopefully she can work on that, and it's still a better moonsault than Charlotte. So, and now we arrive finally at the main event segment on this show. Where do we even begin? Then the beginning, I suppose, with Roman Reigns coming out, making a rare appearance on SmackDown. And I told you earlier, I thought stupidly he was on the show not only to confront Cody Rhodes, and I heard the rumors Rock might be in the area. I was expecting a Rock appearance on this show. I thought he would call out Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes would not come out. Rock would say, before Cody can get his Mania match and finish his story, we're having our own story first, and I'm facing you at Elimination Chamber. That did not happen. But Roman did talk here more than he has in a very long time. He just shit on Seth Rollins for 5 minutes. And honestly, nothing he was saying was even all that inaccurate. And I hate to say it, but it's true. That is the Losers Championship. Rollins has done a great job with that World Heavyweight Championship in the past 9 months, defending it all the time, having great matches, main eventing some pay-per-views. Very few pay-per-views. Every pay-per-view that Roman Reigns is not on. But, he's had a very good reign in the last 9 months. And Roman making fun of him being injured, whatever, his schedule, whatever. But when he said that's the championship that people fight for after they've already lost to him, that was not fucking wrong. He was not wrong. That was not inaccurate. Why would you point that out? It makes that championship, again, the conversation that we already had in May of last year that people kind of calmed down about. We accepted the reality of the situation. Why would you fucking drudge this up again and remind people that is the loser's second-rate consolation prize, the World Heavyweight Championship? That is the belt that people go to after you lose to Roman Reigns. I mean, look, he's not even wrong. Look at the people that have challenged for that championship in the last 9 months. Rollins did not lose to Roman Reigns, but he failed to beat Roman Reigns for his championship 2 years ago. Drew McIntyre lost to Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn got a title shot a couple of months ago, lost to Roman Reigns. Jey Uso got a title shot on Raw a few months ago, lost to Roman Reigns multiple times. Finn Balor got multiple title shots, lost to Roman Reigns. Shinsuke Nakamura, not on a pay-per-view, but he did lose to Roman Reigns at a Tribute to the Troop show a couple of years ago. I mean, it lines up. Jinder Mahal never got a match against Roman Reigns while he was champion, and thank God fucking for that. But still, he is not wrong in saying those things about the World Heavyweight Championship. And then, this is the best part. So he basically buries the World Heavyweight Championship. And we're not getting an endgame to this. We've been speculating about this for a while because Rollins would make comments about Roman and vice versa in interviews and even on TV. It has led to nothing. It is not leading to anything. And even with the report from earlier in the day that, like I mentioned earlier, oh, maybe we'll get a unification match at SummerSlam. It won't be fucking Rollins. It would be Cody. That was what the report was all about. I still don't believe that. I feel like that is comically bad. If the end game here is Cody finally beating Roman at SummerSlam and a unification match, which is completely counterproductive to what they've done with that World Heavyweight Championship in the last year, 9 months, whatever it's been, especially with the roster being as stacked as it is. Say what you will about AEW, WWE, for the most part, has a brand split. To me, with the roster they have right now and all the stars they have, should have 2 titles. They should be on an equal playing field, not calling one of them the undisputed universal champion. That doesn't even make sense. We have 2 fucking world titles. That's really not worth complaining about. We talked about it at the time. So Roman Reigns out there burying the World Heavyweight Champion, burying the World Heavyweight Championship. And then Cody Rhodes comes out and says what we've all been thinking. And again, I was kind of surprised Cody came out. I thought Rock would come out instead first. We'll get to that in a second. We did get Rock on the show, just not quite yet. So Cody comes out. We get our first face-to-face with Cody and Roman since the SmackDown season premiere in October, which told me at the time we were definitely getting that match at Mania. And that was before Punk came back. That was before Rock got fucking appointed to the board of TKO, which might be what this has to do with. It might be a distraction from the Vince stuff. Anything. Honestly, it doesn't even have to be Rock. It could be Cody. Maybe they want people to complain about the Rock thing because they knew people would complain about it. I'm putting my conspiracy theory hat on right now. I don't know, man. Just put on a good fucking product. I mean, nothing's really going to distract people from the reality that Vince McMahon is a vile human being. No shit. But Rock coming back does not change the situation with Vince and the company's culture. That shit needs to change, and it needs to be addressed ASAP. That doesn't change. It doesn't matter if it's fucking Goldberg, Rock, CM Punk, Rollins, Cody, or even Doink the Clown in the main event. People will still be focusing on the Vince stuff, even especially after what came out earlier in the day on Friday about Vince and the lawsuit and John Laurinaitis on Thursday and all this other just disgusting crap. So Cody comes out and, like I said what we all expected him, what we all expected him to say, in that he wanted his hands on Roman Reigns. He wanted to be the one to finish his story at Roman's expense, win that championship because he got cheated, like he said here, and he did, out of that match at WrestleMania 39. They had the match, but Roman cheated by bringing back Solo and just a fucking stupid finish to close out WrestleMania, with Solo being ejected from ringside but coming back with a hoodie on. Ooh. Then he helps Roman Reigns win in the weakest way possible. So that happened. And then he's like, listen, I want to not only take your championship, I want to take everything from you. ... Just not at WrestleMania. And I had a conversation with someone who knows you very well, and something about like the tribal chief bullshit, like, oh, he knows you well, he's a certain chief of his own, whatever. And then out comes The Rock. Gets a big reaction, because why wouldn't The Rock get a big reaction in any city that he wasn't advertised to appear in, obviously. But this is a member of the TKO board as of a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago now. Now, very likely being set up for a Mania match with Roman Reigns. I was hoping to fucking God, even it's dumb anyway, but I was hoping to fucking God that Roman and Rock would not point or stare at the WrestleMania sign. I mean, at one point, they did frame a shot with Rock being in the, right next to it, within view of the WrestleMania sign. I'm like, God, no. No thanks. They didn't do that. They ended up just looking at each other and closing out the show. But it's pretty clear what's going on here. Cody is giving up his match at Mania for The Rock. And Cody will instead go after Rollins. So it goes back to everything I just said. Why the fuck would Cody Rhodes in storyline win the Rumble, point at Roman Reigns, and then choose not to face him? It would be one thing if they it is one thing that they changed plans from Saturday to Friday of the following week, which they probably did, because at that point, they probably didn't know that Punk got hurt. He got hurt in that match, in that Royal Rumble match. That's one thing. Punk even getting hurt, to me, Punk wasn't even supposed to be here 6 months ago. So Punk being there, not being there, it's a blow, because I really wanted Rollins and Punk. But what was Rollins going to do at Mania anyway? Hopefully he was going to face Gunther. And I think he still can. Because anyone asking, if it's not Cody Rhodes facing Rollins, then what do you do with Rollins? Dude, there's a whole roster of options between Raw and SmackDown. I mean, yeah, we've seen certain matches before, but you can build up Sammy for an opportunity. You can build Drew back up. What the fuck is Drew doing at WrestleMania? You could do, and I don't love the match, but as much as Rollins and Gunther in a title for title match, I've mentioned that. And people don't like the idea of Gunther walking in there as Intercontinental Champion. He would be a double champion, and he shouldn't be beaten for it before then. You're right, he shouldn't be. He can't drop it before then. They missed that chance. They could have done that, a while ago. He could have lost it at the Royal Rumble to somebody like a Chad Gable, but they fucking destroyed that option, and they're not even going back to that. Chad Gable's not even a blimp on the radar at this point. But you can still have Gunther go into Mania as champion, do title for title, and have him win both belts, and have him defend both belts without vacating the Intercontinental Championship. But you could do Drew or Sammy, or Drew and Sammy, because Drew and Sammy have an issue with each other. Jey Uso, I know, is facing Jimmy, but you can even bring over from SmackDown, someone from SmackDown. AJ's not busy at Mania. He has no obvious opponent. Orton has no obvious opponent at WrestleMania. LA Knight is facing Logan Paul, but you can have LA Knight face Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. He certainly could be a World Heavyweight Champion coming into WrestleMania. He almost won the belt from Roman Reigns in storyline a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, even at the Royal Rumble. So why wouldn't he get the title shot? So don't give me this bullshit that Rollins doesn't have a believable opponent for WrestleMania if it's not Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes and Rollins is a great match. They had a whole string of matches 2 years ago. Cody won every single time. Every single time. So what I don't like about that match at Mania, and I've said this before, why Cody and Rollins should not happen at WrestleMania, because we've already kind of pitched the possibility, what if we get Rock and Reigns and Cody and Rollins? This is not a new development. We've already kind of thought this could happen. But what I don't like, that was before Cody won the Rumble too. That's what made it even worse. But what I don't really like about that match is that if Cody wins, he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. But that's not finishing the story. It would be one thing if Cody were to win like the Intercontinental Championship. He won the tag titles a couple months ago, or won the United States Championship or something. That's one thing. That's a stepping stone. You don't want the World Heavyweight Championship to feel like a stepping stone. It already does. So you're probably thinking, all right, what does it matter? You don't want to reinforce that narrative that it's a stepping stone. That's stupid. Cody, he's going to win the World Heavyweight Championship, and then per the report or the belief, maybe it was just speculation. I don't know. I don't listen to Meltzer. I just read the reports. A lot of what he says seems to be speculation, and people run with it as fact. I don't care that might have come from PW Insider or Fightful. I'm not sure. And I'm not blaming the outlet, but if that's the idea, to have Cody win the World Heavyweight title and then face Roman at SummerSlam, which means another 6 months of Roman as champion, oh God, no. It's bad enough he's been champion for another year past Mania 39. It's time to end it at WrestleMania. No dragging it on any further. He needs to lose at WrestleMania, and it should be to Cody Rhodes. He's not losing to The Rock, and he shouldn't lose to The Rock. More on that in a sec. But with Rollins and Rhodes, it just doesn't work. Because if he wins the World Heavyweight Championship, cool. But he's even said that's not the title that he wants. He literally said that on Raw, and he said that on SmackDown. So why the fuck would he then go back on what he said on SmackDown in this very segment? They didn't change plans during the segment. They changed plans before the segment took place. Why would they have Cody go out there and say, that's the belt that I want, the Roman Reigns belt, because that's the belt my dad never held. That's the belt that I was cheated out of a year ago at WrestleMania. But you know what? I'm going to go after Rollins instead. What fucking sense does that make? That doesn't make any sense. It makes Rollins look like, or honestly, it makes Rollins look bad. It makes Cody look like a loser because he's just willingly giving up his rematch with Roman to face Rollins instead and just giving it up to The Rock. And I guess we'll find out what that conversation was. He said he talked to The Rock in storyline. What did he give him? $1 bajillion? What could possibly convince Cody to not go after Roman? What changed in storyline from the Rumble to this segment on Raw to this segment on SmackDown to what we saw close out the show? I just don't get it. And then if Rollins beats Cody, I don't like that either. Yeah, Rollins has never beaten Cody before. If they had done that honestly at any other pay-per-view in the past 6 months, I wouldn't have had an issue with it. They teased it 6 months ago. And I was kind of hoping we would get Rollins and Rhodes on a pay-per-view at Survivor Series or a Payback or something. And they didn't do it. I was hoping they would do it and they would have Rollins win to avenge the loss, all the losses to Cody from 2 years ago. I don't really want to see it at Mania, because if you do it at Mania and Rollins wins there, which he's beat the fuck up, he's got a back injury apparently, he's got a, hurt MCL. The guy's being held together by pins and needles at this point. But if you had Rollins win, it makes Cody lose, and he would lose his second straight Mania match. In a high-profile match in Mania, he loses again. What a fucking loser. The second time he wins the Rumble and he loses again? I don't think so. That's also very, very dumb. I don't like the idea of a triple threat. I think that's stupid too. I've seen people pitch that. I hate the idea of a day one bullshit with Rock one night, Cody the other. He made it very clear here he wants Roman, but not at WrestleMania. One, why? And two, why would he then face Roman at Mania if he said here he doesn't want the match at Mania? He would then be going back on what he just said. I guess he's going back on what he did at the Royal Rumble anyway by saying what he said on SmackDown. My head hurts just from trying to make sense of all this bullshit, because it just doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. I hated every single word that came out of that report from earlier today. I hate the idea of Rock and Roman at Mania this year, and the idea of the feud, the match even. I don't really care too much about the match. I do want to see the feud, but it's coming at the expense of Cody and Roman. That's the story to tell. And guess what? I get it. Rock and Roman is the bigger match. That's the bigger box office attraction. I understand that. I totally get it. Rock is one of the biggest stars in the entire world. But it shouldn't come at the expense of Cody Rhodes. He's the guy that you're going to be building towards for years now. I don't want Roman. If he was champion for a couple months, a year maybe, okay, cool. We can put the belt on Cody at another time. He's been champion for 4 fucking years. We have to move on from this. If Rock faces Roman at Mania, Rock's not winning, and he shouldn't win. That would be dumb. So we have Roman as champion for at least another 6 months, and at that point, I can guarantee you at that point, we're going to be so close to September, they're going to be like, he's kind of close to beating Bob Backlund's record, or Hogan's next record. Or it's not even a record, but whatever. He's a couple weeks off from beating the, Hogan run from 40 years ago. So let's have him beat that run. And then by next year, he's close to beating this Bob Backlund record as well. No. End it. We're done. Have him lose the belt to Cody Rhodes and move the fuck on. To me, part of finishing the story is Cody being the guy to replace Roman as the guy in the company. The Rock is not that guy, and it's just not a good look either. Them appoint Rock to the board and then give him the main event of WrestleMania. How fucking terrible timing is that? And Rock, I'm super disappointed. I mean, if this was his idea, and it seems like it was, and Triple H too, obviously, but, Rock wanted to come back and really wanted to do it this year. Fuck Cody, I guess. Cody looked like a total loser out there, walking away from Roman Reigns and The Rock and letting them have their moment. I don't give a fuck about Rock and Roman happening in Elimination Chamber if they were to do it there. As far as they can do it there, it doesn't make a difference. And everyone was all upset a month ago when people were saying, oh, it has to happen at WrestleMania. No, the fuck it doesn't. Cody and Roman is the better story. Rock and Roman is a blimp on the radar. The match probably won't even be that good. I mean, I honestly, I'm not really looking forward to the match itself in Mania. That sounds like it could suck. Rock could not even get through a 20-minute segment a month ago on Raw without getting winded, without getting blown up, talking, let alone wrestling. The man seemingly was not signed on for the pay-per-view. I mean, I know this is all rumor and innuendo and wrestling, rumors and whatnot. I get it, reports. But I kind of believe that's the case. If they knew that Rock was locked in, why would they then have Rhodes win the Rumble and then tease this shit and then go with Cody or go with Rollins instead? Again, dude, doesn't make any sense. The logic is stupid. You can't convince me this is a good idea. I'm as pissed as everyone else. But the bottom line is this. WWE does not care what I think. They don't care what you think. If you're listening to this, you're probably as much of a hardcore fan as I am. Otherwise, you're probably thinking I'm nuts here, complaining about a big match like Rock and Roman. Because again, I want to see Rock and Roman. I hate the fact it's coming at this Mania when it could have just been done a year ago or the year before that. But guess what? Rock was busy. Rock was busy with this movie. He was busy with that movie, both of which probably flopped. But I love The Rock, not the shit on The Rock. I like The Rock, but we put our pencils down for WrestleMania 39. Because we just couldn't come up with something that would change the game. Something unprecedented. Well, what the fuck is unprecedented about The Rock coming back in February of 2024 and taking away a spot from someone who already had the main event spot locked in for WrestleMania 40? There is nothing unprecedented about it. We've seen it a lot of times in WWE's history. Cody was literally telling CM Punk a week and a half ago, I am the CM Punk and I did everything you didn't, you couldn't do, blah, blah, blah. You're right. He also got fucked out of a main event spot, did CM Punk. At multiple WrestleManias by another man named The Rock. The exact same fucking guy. If The Rock wasn't around in 2012, Punk probably would have headlined Mania 28, 29, maybe 27, maybe. I mean, they could have put Punk in Miz's spot, but that's a whole other discussion. They did it at WrestleMania 32, and at least 10 years ago, they listened to the fans. They got Bryan in that main event. Love Batista. Batista should not have been in that spot. Batista and Orton would have been fucking awful one-on-one at WrestleMania if they had done that match. Putting Bryan in there was an infinitely better story, and that was what people wanted to see. The difference between Batista and The Rock, though, is that The Rock is an infinitely bigger star than Batista. So when they put Batista in that main event, they did that because that was what Vince wanted to see, not what the masses wanted to see. Now the question here is, do the masses would they rather see Rock and Roman, or would they rather see Roman and Cody? Because to me, I think it's probably Rock and Roman. Again, like I said, they don't give a fuck what you and I think. They don't give a fuck. They care about what the public thinks. They care about what the casual viewer thinks, what they want to see, what would entice them to watch WrestleMania. I'm watching the show regardless. I'm going to the show regardless. I cover this shit. But for anyone else who doesn't, that's the question. I've seen people say, I'm not going to watch now. I don't care about the product. We've seen this shit time and time again. I don't want to go off on those people because they'll probably be back. They're always back. They always come back and they probably will tune in anyway. But this is pretty damning, though. It's a pretty damning situation to take your hottest guy on the roster who has worked back to this point in a situation you could have just avoided by having him win last year. Nothing was accomplished by having Roman retain. 1,000 days. Who gives a fuck? No one cares. No one cares. He is no more of a star than he was a year ago. Roman is the biggest star in the company. That would not have changed if he lost the belt a year ago. He went from 3 years to 4 years as champion. Doesn't fucking matter. It has not made a lick of a difference. It has done more damage than anything, especially now that Cody is not finishing the story at WrestleMania. Man, it's just dumb. I just don't fucking get it. I really don't understand. I know I've been sitting here boasting, complaining about it for 20 minutes. But any situation you want to throw at me as to why this would make sense, it's a bigger match. Yeah, it is a bigger match. It doesn't make sense. It's a one-off match. It does nothing to help WWE in the long run. Roman will win, and those people that watch the match will not stick around. They will not care. You can do the match at some point. Again, you can do it at Elimination Chamber, Saudi Arabia, SummerSlam, Poughkeepsie, New York, and the next house show. I don't give a shit. Don't do it at WrestleMania this year. You already have a plan in place that makes sense that people want to see. Where was this shit like 10 years ago when we were getting Roman and Brock every fucking year, even 2 years ago? Even 2 years ago when we got Roman and Brock again at WrestleMania 38. And it was a match that made sense because they were feuding for 6 months. If we didn't get Roman and Brock again at Mania, I wouldn't have complained. The match wasn't that good, and I didn't give a shit anyway. So if they'd done Rock and Roman on that show, that would have been perfect. But guess what? Rock was not bothered to show up. He could not be bothered to show up to the company that he calls home and do the match then. He waited for the literal most inconvenient time to show up to do this match. If this was his own doing and Triple H went along with it, or Nick Khan or whatever, then fuck them. I mean, seriously, this is just bullshit. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. It's very self-centered of The Rock to come back and think, we got to do the match this year. Watch the fucking product, pal. Watch the product. Cody's the guy to go with. Even if it was anyone else, it's not a Cody or die thing, or, ride or die with Cody Rhodes. Honestly, if it was anyone else, I would probably say the same thing. If it makes sense with that person, you go with that person. Crown Cody and move the fuck on. We're not dragging this on any further. Cody and Rollins, cool. It's not as much of an attraction as Cody and Roman. That is the match to do. That is the biggest match you can do with the current talent that you have. I'm not counting The Rock. You can do that match another time, in another state, in another country, on another show. It wouldn't matter. It's a one-off. It's a Mania match. Sure, they could have done it last year, the year before that. They didn't. Wait until next year at this rate. Fuck that shit, man. That ending of SmackDown was terrible. It's fucking terrible. I mean, again, could this all be just one giant swerve? And I ranted and raved for 20 minutes about nothing? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Is there a chance that they turn around and put Cody back in the match either because it was the plan the whole time or because they listened to the fans? Maybe. Maybe. I saw that the YouTube video of The Rock coming back had 70,000 likes, 300,000 dislikes, the most disliked video in WWE's YouTube history. I mean, that kind of speaks volumes because they've had a lot of bad shit on YouTube. They've had a lot of bad segments in their company's history in the last 12 years since they started posting content on their YouTube channel. And that's the most disliked video? Fuck that. Fuck that shit. That is including like Bray Wyatt losing at Hell in the Cell 5 years ago, or Bray Wyatt, another one, did Saudi Super Showdown losing to Goldberg. I mean, those videos got a lot of dislikes too. So, we'll talk about it when we talk about it next week. I don't really see much changing. They're doing a press event on Thursday. This is why I'm saying I really don't think this is a swerve, and they're doing the match at Chamber. Could they do Cody in Elimination Chamber with Roman? Sure. But if Cody gets the match at Chamber and he beats Roman there, you're blowing off the biggest moment that you've been building to for 4 fucking years on Elimination Chamber. Rock and Roman, you could blow that off in Chamber. What's the difference? Who cares? It's a match. It doesn't help Roman. It doesn't help Rock. It's a match. You can blow that off anywhere and it wouldn't really make a difference. It's a big match, but in light of current circumstances, I don't really care where you do that. Cody should take precedence. He's the guy you want to build around. Stop making him look like a loser. But anyway, do you want to put the belt on Cody there and then have him defend at Mania against who? Orton? What are you going to turn around and build Orton and Cody up in a month? No. It's dumb. Cody wouldn't main event in that case. It would be Rock and Roman and then whatever Rollins probably does for the World Heavyweight Championship. Stupid. So you're going to have Cody become the guy and then not even headline WrestleMania a month later? That's ridiculous. So, and then Roman would go on to beat Rock anyway, and that's really the bigger story, is Rock and Roman and Cody's an afterthought. So no, I don't want to see that either. I could see people saying, you're complaining about every other option. Yeah, because there's only one option here. It's like Endgame with Doctor Strange. There's one outcome that makes sense, and it's Cody Rhodes beating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 41. I mean, 40. Should have been 39. It should happen at 40, and it won't. Unless they change plans and they realize what, better of it. Rock likes to pretend, we're doing things for the fans. This isn't for the fucking fans, pal. This is for yourself. If the masses want it, the masses will get it. That's their mentality. If the masses want the match, then they're going to do the match. They don't care about me. Like I said, they don't give a fuck about us. The people that actually, probably put the most amount of money into the shows and stuff like that, I would think. But, they want to go with what the mainstream audience wants to see. What will take attention off of Vince, pal? I don't really see that working, but I suppose time will tell. Thank you guys for checking out my longest SmackDown audio review in some time. I apologize for the lengthy rant. I had a lot of shit to say about this shit. The show itself I liked a lot, up until the final 5 minutes. That was just fucking garbage. Fuck that shit. But we'll talk more about it next week here on the show, as we always do. I cover this shit. I'm not going to miss the show. What else is new? Well, more to talk about next week here on the SmackDown audio review and on Wrestle Rant Radio on Thursday as well. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, I appreciate it. Have an awesome one. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.